Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have a little bit of a fun thing to go and talk about. Now, as you guys do or do not know, there's a brand new PlayStation 5 Slimmer that is on the way very, very soon. And I wanted to kind of go give you guys the overall big collection of everything that is different with the brand new console. We have talked about this on the channel at least a little bit, but as of right now, people have physically gotten the consoles themselves. And it's also almost an intriguing leak too as well of where people actually may have gotten them. But right now, we actually do have more hands-on information in terms of the actual specs, in terms of power consumption, in terms of if it's actually good, and as well, if you guys have never seen it, I'll quickly go over the price differences, although I think a lot of you guys probably already know that. So we're going to go and talk about all this type of stuff, so if you guys will sit back, relax, and enjoy. We also have all the howlings down below for the Best Buy promotion, hashtag ad with them. If you guys want to go click on those and check it out and support up the channel itself, if you guys are interested in the games, subscribe if you guys are new, give me your thoughts and comments if you guys will or will not be buying the PlayStation 5 Slim, and of course, follow the other social medias, and let's dive on into the video itself. So first and foremost, in case you guys have missed it, we actually have seen quite a few different things when it comes to PlayStation 5 Slim. The brand new PlayStation 5 Slim itself is, well, obviously going to be very intriguing because we have, well, better specs. It's a slightly better console. In case you guys have missed the price points for it, the PlayStation 5 Slim Disc Edition is going to be $500, and then the PlayStation 5 Slim Edition Digital Edition is going to be $450. That's going to be a little bit of a price increase, which does stink. We're not the biggest fan of that, although it's okay. Like, the Disc Edition is still going to be the same exact price. But one big thing to note is that the disc drive itself, which is a separate attachment which is now added to this console, is going to be around $80 or so, and depending on the area and tax and all of that, and then also will probably make the digital edition slightly more expensive. So that'll be putting it around like a $550 or so if you factor in tax versus the $500 disc edition. So if you guys are kind of on the fence between the holiday season, I'd probably recommend just getting the PlayStation 5 disc edition and going from there, mainly because you will be saving money, and of course it is also detachable as well if you for some odd reason don't like the aesthetic. There's also a brand new random stand on top of that which is included, which is very mediocre, and as well then a separately charged around $30 price tag brand new stand. So that's like the big core differences. There's probably gonna be a lot of bundles, and we have been seeing good rumors coming out in the next few weeks or so. So depending on when you guys see this, let's say it's 3 or 4 weeks from now, that means you guys could also maybe look to see if there's any good deals for bundles for Modern Warfare 3 or other various games such as Spider-Man that might save you some money. Now, one big thing to kind of note, though, is we actually have had a chance to see the breakdowns for it. So the PlayStation 5 Slim size difference is also smaller. The console weighs less. The console is smaller, both height, width, and also other dimensions. But as well, it also has been kind of running around the same exact specs as well. Now, for the big specs, too, there is also a slightly bigger hard drive, which means if you get the $499.99 disc edition, you're actually getting a slight improvement because it is pretty much the same internal specs with a slightly larger hard drive, which is nice to go and see. If you get the current old digital one, it's not the best. You are spending $450 and also don't have the disc edition. You are still getting that internal upgrade with the SSD, but everything else isn't really that big. So we're going to go through a little article too as well, because we've had a chance to kind of highlight all the multiple appearances of the consoles. So saying before you start any angry comments, they noticed that the PlayStation 5 Slim, I keep on liking and calling it the PlayStation 5 Slimmer, because that is kind of a fun name too as well. So they keep on saying it's a brand new technical console, so keep that in mind. So it is a little bit smaller, it's a bit more fine-tuned, we all know about that one too as well. So the new PS5 hasn't actually appeared in store shelves yet. A lot of the rumors are for tomorrow on the 8th or as well on the 10th. Now, granted, that may be a little bit more postponed, but that was the initial rumored leak dates on when and how you guys can go buy it. Same with the bundles too as well. A few of the YouTubers actually got a hold of the systems too, and they took it apart, and they showcased about the new secrets of the new system of the consoles, which we actually did highlight even over here for Dave's unboxing, which is very nice to go and see. So they have a different type of cooling design, they have a different type of the detachable disk drive too as well, and of course, if it has a die shrink or not. So I'm going to have a good example if you guys want to do a little bit of a quick run through on some of these photos over here. I'll give you guys the quick gloss in all honor of Dave, which actually did have a pretty good review video, at least in my opinion. But you guys can kind of go and see in terms of all the actual copper hardware itself. Now, if you guys have ever seen other and prior older consoles, they are still pretty blocky and big. Like, it isn't like necessarily too much of a big change in terms of what is allowed on the console itself. I keep on making comments though on the oxidation, which I have also been trying to do a little bit of research on. I did reach out to some folks that might have actually had like a proper scientific answer for it, and so far things haven't been really looking the best, although I'm not a big enough YouTuber to kind of break that news unless I'm actually sure about it. So if you guys do know stuff about that, feel free to look into it. But it does kind of seem like the internals are also somewhat very similar to all the other older prior consoles too as well. So in case you guys just haven't had a chance to go and see the comparison side too, you guys can still go and see. We kind of did a lot of highlights when it comes to the outside looks too as well, where the outside definitely does and has been changed up. If you guys look at the USB drives, etc., they have been changed on the location. They've also messed around with the power devices, and the disk drive too as well is still slightly on the slimmer side. And of course as well, the console overall also got rid of this random heat vent on the very front, which people were a little bit concerned on, and as well also kind of just toned down the console in general. So in case you guys have seen that one. So basically say they spoiled the last question for you guys. It doesn't in terms of the console itself. So it basically is nothing as big change when it comes to die sync, but according to all the testing done by Dave2D as well as Linus Tech Group, the new PS5 seems to use the same SoC as the original system. This was confirmed by Dave2D using power consumption and heat metrics, while Linus Tech Tips did those as well as measuring the actual die area, the SoC. It's likely that Sony isn't saying this is a Slim because every previous Slim has also had a different die shrink for reduced power consumption and heat output, and while both of these metrics are mostly unchanged. So it's not really the biggest change up because the console itself is the same pricing as well, which I think is fine. But one of the bigger part too is at least the console overall is smaller, which would be nice for long-term savings for Sony because you can ship more, maybe use less plastic. Because overall them trying to fine-tune the console, and at least they do have a little bit of a bump up, say, with the SSD. So as well for the big kind of consumptions over here too are on the power consumptions. Now, in case you guys are curious in this one, looking at the graph, Linus Tech Tips did go do a pretty big power draw when it comes to the average power draw from the console. And though it's not the biggest change up at all, there was at least a slight change, where the PlayStation 5 was at 225 and the PS5 Slim was at 224. So there's a very, very, very minute difference, but it does seem like it actually is a little bit more efficient in terms of what you get. So you do also have the slightly nicer internals with the just slightly updated, like, you know, all the internal specs or SSDs, etc. But there is also a slightly better power draw. Now, this is not the biggest thing where it's like a huge, huge headline. It's intriguing to note and intriguing to bring up, but it does kind of seem very on the laid back side. But they have researched it. So it is actually, at least from what we've seen so far, very, very, very marginally better. So very nice to go and see. Although the people keep on saying it doesn't really seem like the console is that much of a difference sidewise, but it does, in my opinion, seem slightly different. Like the PS5 is also it looks like it's like 7 basically kilograms on the disc guide, and also then it looks like, sorry, doing math in the head, 8 on the digital too as well. So it is actually like a more fine-tuned console. We've kind of known this, but if you also look at a picture like this side by side, it does kind of go and show how much of an actual big difference it is. Like that really is, I think, the big selling point. It's just more, a little bit more compact, a little bit more efficient, and a little bit nicer too as well, which I like. I like the idea of this. So it seems like so far the SSD is nicer, price point slightly the same, the bundle pricing might be nicer too as well, and on top of this, it does seem like it's very, very, very minutely and slightly better in terms of the actual power consumption. Now, and also, and despite the reduction of volume though, the new system does seem to be exactly capable of keeping it as cool as the original model. So even though it's a little bit more efficient, it's also on the same efficiency for the output too as well, and of course the noise level is about the same too. So the power consumption is exactly identical, which is to be expected considering it's using the same exact pretty much hardware too as well, and they keep on saying that probably the biggest practical change between the two models is the storage upgrade, and the new PS5 comes with 1 terabyte of space instead of the 825 gigabytes, which I've mentioned a few times on this video. The external I/O has also changed too, but only a little bit, and the old model had USB Type-A and Type-C ports in front, and the newer system drops the A type in favor of a second Type-C, which I think also a few years into it now, and also think for longevity, like 2 or 3 years down the road, I think that's a good idea at the end of the day. It's also been rearranged in the back as we've shown in prior videos, but that seems fine to me. It's also the most contentious part though will be the visual redesign, which you guys can probably see if you guys just look at the console itself, and I think it looks nice, at least in my opinion, which keeps the controversial popped collar look of the original chassis while adding a split down the middle to accommodate the optimal disk drive. Now, some folks were making comments though too because the top half is glossy, and I made a few of my comments myself about that one, so if you guys do care about that or have specific lighting, you guys should always worry about that too as well. Now, I think it just kind of highlights like the negativities, kind of how I agree with the article itself. Both Dave and Linus disapproved, and I did too as well. I was not very happy with this one. And maybe for a separate like video, and I may want to highlight this a little bit more, it seems like some of these also might have been some corporate espionage, where a big corporate sponsor may have also actually sent out these things. I'll maybe say that for a separate video, but if you guys got this far into the video, well, you guys can kind of get my little teaser on what I'm going to talk about. But at the end of the day, it does kind of seem like the console itself is a somewhat bigger change. I think this is most things out for all you kind of need to know. Slightly smaller console, pretty much around the same efficiency. Not too much change internally besides a slightly better SSD, and the price points are all the major big talking points. I don't think I have to probably make another video on this unless something big or major comes out, or more information on the oxidation on the copper does, but right now it's at least intriguing to see. So give me your thoughts and comments down below. Are you guys going to upgrade? Make sure you guys check out all the how links down below if you guys are interested, and of course the Twitter and Twitch room too as well, in case you guys would want to go and follow, and I appreciate y'all so much for watching here in the first place.